AWS Developer Associate level, and AWS SysOps Associate level. Then after that, you go to the professional level. Professional level, we have AWS Solutions Architect Professional. That's the certification that Miano has done. Apart from that, we have DevOps Professional. Yeah, and then from the professional, you go to the specialties, maybe security, if you want to specialize in security, machine learning, networking, and all that. So that's the journey that you will experience when you get into AWS. But we are here to say everything is possible. If one of us is already a professional, it means all of us here can get to that level. It just takes preparation, time, consistency, and discipline. Okay, so without wasting time, let me allow Miano to take over so that he can introduce the speaker of today. Thank you so much. Anthony Miano, welcome.
Thank you, James. And I'm so excited about this final day of the bootcamp. You guys have shown so much dedication to stay on track, and you've shown a lot of initiative to get started on this cloud journey. And I honestly encourage you to keep going, especially make sure you really grasp your fundamentals well. They'll pay off the higher you go. But without further ado, I want to take you through the agenda for today. So our speaker for the day will be Zipporah Washira. He is an AWS solutions architect, and she works at Silicon Overdrive, and she is very knowledgeable actually about cloud and networking, and I think you're in very good hands on this last day of the bootcamp. She'll be taking us through the following topics: billing. She'll be taking us through billing, pricing, and governance on AWS. Excuse me, Eliud, your mic is still on. All right, so sorry about that. She'll be taking us through billing, pricing, and governance on AWS. And after that, we will be having James Juma and I just taking you through some of the learning resources and how we prepared for these certifications that you're going for, the sort of mindset you need to have even as you take on this journey. So yeah, quite a lot in store for you guys. So without further ado, I want to welcome today's speaker, Madam Zipporah Washira. Take it away.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Anthony, for that introduction. Please confirm if I'm adequately audible.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
DP,
hear
you're
you.
audible.
We hear
Okay,
you
awesome.
clearly.
Awesome. Thank you. So, um, before I start my presentation, I'm going to just share an experience I had with you guys a few weeks back. Just to it came to my mind when Anthony says to solidify your basics, and I just remembered something interesting that happened to me a while back, and I thought I'll just share it with you guys. So a few weeks ago, I attended a certain conference on behalf of my company, and basically what I had to do is we had an exhibition stand, and at the time, my role was to receive some of the guests and tell them about our services as Silicon, and basically just explain based on their requirements how we as a company can assist them. So it was quite interesting, and for the first few guests that actually visited our booth, what I did, I would just simply start with a simple greeting and then ask them about what they do. And then they'll tell me, and from there, I would find or try to tune the conversation towards the services that we offer that I feel are applicable to them. But the mistake I did, it's I made a very I don't know, let me call it a bad assumption during this as I was speaking to these guys. See, the thing is, I'm around a lot of people who are very good in cloud or know about the cloud basically. And ever since I started my journey in cloud, I have never once encountered someone who did not know what the cloud was. Even if you're not really an expert or even taking the courses in cloud, most people, when you mention the cloud, they have an idea. It's something they've heard of. And I was operating on this same assumption that every single person who visits that booth, they have heard of the cloud at a certain point. They know, even if they're not experts about it, they know something to do with the cloud. And this was until these two people came in. So they were representatives from the county government of Kisumu. So as always, they came to the booth, introductions, blah blah blah, and I started to explain to them or just briefly tell them some of the services that we offer. And after speaking for around 3 4 minutes, the lady stops me and then she's like, "What is cloud?" It's a very simple question. It really is. But the fact that I really wasn't expecting it, and the fact that I was totally working on an assumption that this is not a question I should be asked, or this is not a question I'm even expecting. When she asked me that, I remember it completely threw me off, and I was silent for like 2 minutes trying to collect all the basics where I stood out in cloud, trying to remember what was the cloud, by the way. How do I even begin to explain this to someone who's never heard of anything called cloud? How do I actually start to break it down? And anyway, I managed to explain it somehow. But the point here is actually it's 2 points. One of them it's if your journey in cloud, if you move towards a cloud facing role, don't make that mistake. Don't ever make that assumption. Terms, always keep in mind that there's still, in as much as the cloud is becoming quite popular, it's very possible, or there are still people who are not familiar with this technology. So if you do end up in such a role, start from the very basics. And then the second thing, it's again on solidifying your basics. I am someone I as I've certified up to the architect level, which means at this point I have a very good, I guess, a good understanding or a solid understanding of cloud technologies. But in that moment, I realized I had completely forgotten how to explain that very basic thing of what is the cloud. So this is just a reminder that even as you advance, don't ever forget the basics, those small things that you're starting with, these minor concepts that you'll find are covered in the practitioner, that as you go up, we tend to forget them just because you're advancing. Don't forget those ones. And yes, so that was that. Now I'll start my presentation, and I'm going to be talking today about what? Billing, pricing, and governance on AWS. Let me just share my screen, and Anthony, kindly confirm if you can see my screen. Just a moment.
Yeah, we can see your screen very clearly.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So, as I said, today we are going to be talking about pricing, billing, and yes, pricing, billing, and governance on AWS. It's going to be a very short session. So, I'm just going to run through the key concepts that I felt are important for the practitioner level. If you have a question during the presentation, please feel free to post it on the chat or just raise your hand. So first thing we're going to look at is pricing on AWS. And when it comes to pricing, there are three key pricing models that are used on AWS. So there's what is called pay as you go, and then there is save when you commit. What this means, it's the more you commit to spend a service for a certain amount of time, and by making that commitment, you're actually given a discount on the cost of that service. And the third one, it's pay less by using more. So this is what we typically call volume discounts, and basically it just means the more you spend on a service, or the more time or the more regularly you use a service, you get a certain kind of a discount. So pay as you go, this is the most common one. I think this actually just cuts across all cloud technology. It's more of the foundational pricing concept for all cloud technologies. And pay as you go, it's basically a model. Yes, it's basically a model that allows you to only pay for the services that you're using, or yes, to only pay for a service as long as you're using it. And just to understand why this is such a big benefit, it's think of it, if you have, for example, an on-premise server, or if you buy a server and you're probably running a certain application on it, there are times when this application is not being used. Uh, it's not being used. Maybe think of times like when people go for Christmas holidays, or in the evenings when people have logged off work, you'll find that there's some idle time. But because you have this server, it's already loaded with all the resources it has. You've installed a disk on there, you've configured your network, you've installed some memory on there, and the server, you can't really turn off this server, which means even when it's not being utilized, you still it continues to run, and you continue to pay for all these resources. So pay as you go, it's a good model because it means it goes hand in hand with on-demand delivery of services, which means that you don't have you only a service, it's only in the running state when you need it, and in times when there is, for example, low load, or as the example I gave, for example, people out of office, you can easily just turn that, and maybe you don't need it, you can turn that, or that resource off, and you won't have to pay for it. So yes, that's that. So, but before we look at this, there is one more. It's not exactly a pricing model, but the AWS free tier, this is something that I believe James explained in the first day. And the free tier, it's an offering that is provided to people who are starting out in AWS. This is via the console to allow you to do a bit of experimentation on the services. So as you can see, the AWS free tier, it incorporates three types of services. You have some services which are free for the first 12 months. Then you have some services which are always free for as long as the account is active. You're never charged to use these particular resources. And then finally, you have some resources which are usually provided as a trial. This is usually an ongoing. So for example, if they release a new service and they want to see how it will be received, or they want their users to test it out, they might offer it as a free service, but on a trial base. So maybe for like a month, and then they encourage their users, you know what, test this new service. Let's see how it works. Let's see how it responds. So you can get one of the three. And as you can see, within each category of resources, these are the specifications of what you get in terms of for the services that are 12 months free. This is exactly what is provided for you. So for example, in compute, these are your VMs. You get 750 hours for using the T2.micro. Remember, the T2.micro falls within the free tier, even if you check on the console. So you get 750 hours for free, and you can also use an ELB with that compute instance. For databases, you can see you get 750 hours, you get some storage. So the specifics of this are not important. This is not something you need to actually understand for the exam, but just understand that within the free tier, there are these three offerings. Now, yes. Yes. Now, the next thing we are going to look at is what is called savings plans. And savings plans is another, it's a discount model that is usually used for your virtual machines. So there are three types of savings plan. There is the compute savings plans, the EC2 instant savings plan, and there is another one called the SageMaker instance plan. So for now, for this, we'll focus on the compute and the instance savings plan. Yes. So the difference between the two of them is that for compute savings plan, it's that you commit to use a specific instance for either a 1 year or a 3 year term. So this falls within, if we go back to our pricing model, it falls within the save when you commit. So you commit to use, for example, an instance, you commit to use it, you're going to have this instance on for a 1 year period. And by making that commitment, you actually get a discount on the cost. So remember the default running model for instances is usually the on demand. And now what makes this a savings is that, for example, the compute savings plan, you will find that it provides a discount of up to 66% and 66%, sorry. And this is now in comparison to running this instance in on-demand mode. So when you typically use this, it's for if you have a workload or an application that you know it's long running. Sorry, it's basically a long term kind of thing. It's not something that you will need to um maybe shut down at any point. So if you have something like that, then you can get that commitment and actually benefit from the discount. So for the compute savings plan, as you can see, it applies to Amazon EC2 instances, to Fargate instances, and to AWS Lambda. And it applies to any instance type and tenancy. You can apply this savings plan to any region and availability zone, and of course to any operating system. So for the instance savings plan, the instant saving plan, again, this is something you commit for either 1 year or a 3 year term. But the difference between the instant savings and the compute savings is that for the instant savings, you actually commit to a specific instance family. So for example, you can decide to commit to the T2 family or to the M class family and all that. And now once you configure an instant saving plan, you can basically use any instance within that family, and you are charged the same exact price. Remember, for on demand, if you're running something like a T2 micro or versus a maybe a T2 large, the hourly cost will be different because of the differences in size. So the instant savings plan, it's offsets that, because once you commit to a family, you can use any instance within that family regardless of the size, and the charge is the same. But now remember, you're essentially tying yourself to only using that family for that period, whether it's 1 year or it's a 3-year term. So for the instant saving, it applies to any instant size, as I mentioned, as long as it's within the family that you've committed to. You can apply this to, or you can configure this for any availability zone. Notice that this one can only apply to an availability zone, but the compute savings plan, it applies up to both. You can apply this to a region or to an availability zone. So that's another difference. You can apply this to any operating system and any tenancy. Again, another difference is that, oh yeah, sorry. Yes, and any tenancy. So that's on the savings plans. Now, our third pricing model was on paying less by using more, and I mentioned this is this is what we call volume discounts. So a good example of this is actually, sorry, before I get to that, let me talk about reserved instances, because it's something that is also tested a lot more, especially in terms of differences between the reserved instance. You commit to sorry, you commit to using an instance for either a 1 year or a 3-year period. And for within the reserved instances, you have two types. You can choose from one of these. So you have what are called standard reserved instances, and you have what are called convertible reserved instances. And the difference between these two is that for convertible, you can actually change this within the period that you've committed to. You can actually change the specifications for this particular instance. So for example, you can change the availability zone, you can change the instance size, you can change your network configurations, but this is only for the convertible instance. So for the standard instance, the settings such as the family, the OS, tenancy, and all that, they they are fixed for you the entire period of for the entirety of your commitment, unlike for the convertible instance. So for the standard, the only thing that you can change within that reservation period is the availability zone and maybe the instance size. But notice that other features such as instance family and the operating systems, the kind of tenancy that is being used, these are practically, they are fixed. You cannot be able to change that. So this is a comparison table between the reserved instances and the savings plans, the two types of savings plans. So that's the EC2 and the compute savings plans. So we can see that for reserved instances, for the standard reserved instances, you get discounts of 72%. And remember, I mentioned this is in comparison to the on-demand pricing for that equivalent instance that you're committing to. Then for the convertible instances, you get a discount of up to 66%. When it comes to the savings plans, the instant savings plans grants you or gives you a discount of 72%, and compute savings plan gives you a discount of 66%. Then the instance family, these ones are fixed except for convertible. For the savings plan, only the EC2 savings, no, sorry, only the compute savings plan allows you to change. Remember, we said you commit to an instance, a family, so you can use no, sorry, the EC2 instant savings plan is the one you commit to a family. So this one is fixed. You can't change the family. The only thing you can change is the size of the instance within that family. But for the compute savings plan,
An instance,
you
a
can
family.
use
So
any
you can
instance family
use
that you want. Then for
oh
the
sorry, the
instance
EC2 instant
size,
savings plan is the one you commit to a
it's
family.
fixed
So
again,
this one
except
is
for
fixed. You can't
convertible.
change the
For
family. The only
the
thing you can
savings
change is
plan,
the
it's
size of the
flexible for both of
instance
them. For
within that family.
geography,
But for the
reserved
compute
instances, it
savings
can be
plan,
applied to
instance,
either
you
region
can
or
use
an
any
availability zones. Availability zone. Then the instant saving, it's flexible. Savings plans are flexible. Application to forget instances. As you can see, only the compute savings plans will allow you to actually do a reservation for when using ECS. So yes. Then Lambda, the same thing. It's you can only reserve Lambda capacity using the compute savings plan. You can do that using the RI savings plans. The RI, you can reserve an instance or you can't use the instance savings for that. Then automatically applies pricing to these regions. Again, only the compute savings plan supports that. Services supported by this, you have for the reserved instances, you can use reserved instances for EC2 and RDS. You can use the savings plan only for EC2, and for the compute, you can use it for EC2, Fargate instances, or Lambda. Then committed unit, for instance, for the reserved instances, you're committing to an instance. Then for the instance savings plan and the compute, you're actually committing to spending a certain amount of time on either a specific instance or a family. So for your exam, what you need to know, just understand these differences between the reserved instances. First of all, understand the difference between the two instance savings plan and understand the differences between the two types of reserved instances. Then also understand not the overall difference between reservations and the savings plan. Mm, yes. So the third pricing model is now for volume discounts. And volume discounts, as I explained, this is you get discounts based on your usage of a service. So a good example of this is, for example, when you're using a service such as CloudFront, you'll find that if you if for CloudFront, how you're charged for CloudFront, it's that you're charged based on, let's say, the number of requests that are made to your origin per month, and also the amount of egress through your CloudFront distribution. So you'll find in terms of volume discounts, if your egress exceeds 10 TB, if the data that you're actually using or data that is actually being accessed through your CloudFront distribution, it's greater than 10 dB, you always get a 30% discount on the cost of CloudFront. So that is what the volume discounts are. So the more you spend a service, the bigger the bigger the discount that you get. And this one applies usually CloudFront is a very good example, and also services such as S3. You can also get volume discounts for this particular service. So that's those are the three primary pricing models on AWS. Remember, pay as you go. It's flexible costing models that allows you to pay for services as you provision them. Then save when you commit allows you to commit to spending either a certain amount on a service or spending it for a period of time. So for a period of time, those are the reserved instances, and then committing to spending a certain amount, those are the savings plans. Then pay less by using more, these are the volume discounts that you get from continued usage of AWS services. So I hope that's clear. The next thing that we're going to look at is So that's on pricing. Okay. So the next thing it's on billing and cost management. Basically, how do you view the costs that you are accruing as you use AWS services? How do you assess your bills, and what other features are available in AWS to manage your costs? And on this, you're going to look at three key billing services. You have the billing console, you have the Cost Explorer, and you have what is called budget actions. And actually, before I explain this, let me just show something. Let me start by showing you guys, before I actually explain the specific features for the three, I'll show you just how to access the billing dashboard. Uh, mm, mm. Please confirm if you can see my console.
Yes, you
Yes,
can see
okay.
it.
Awesome, thank you. So to access the billing dashboard, basically for your account, if you have a console account, what you do is you click on your account name, username basically, and then you should see this option here called the billing dashboard. And that one now should take you to the billing dashboard. So we're just going to explore some of the features of the billing dashboard and just see what exactly is listed over here. So you can see, first of all, once I open the billing dashboard, the first thing I'll see is there is a forecast. This is something that is done automatically, and this is done based on my previous spend in previous months, the services that I'm using. It will show you how many active services do I have. In my case, I only have 11 services that I'm using actively. And when you scroll down, there is a trend, basically a graph that is created by what is called Cost Explorer, and it shows the pattern of your spend. Then you should also see that the costs are broken down by service. So let's try and see this bill. So one of the ways that you can use, for example, if you are unsure of the services that are running in your account, this is one of the ways that you can use to actually find out what is on my account, because the bills page on the billing dashboard will show you every single thing that is running, and then it will show you the associated cost. So for me now, I can easily come here and just look at for each service, and as you can see, it's divided. It shows me per region. In for example, for CloudWatch in US. In North Virginia, this is the amount I'm spending. For Ohio, this is the amount I'm spending. Same to all these other services. Compute, I'm only using North Virginia, and this is the amount that I'm actually spending on compute, and everything else, and basically all the services that I'm currently using at the moment. So let's look at a very critical feature on the billing dashboard. It's the Cost Explorer. So you have Cost Explorer, you have what is called budgets, and yes. So let me go back to the presentation now and explain what those are. Window. Okay, so we have the billing console is what I've showed you, and basically this is it's kind of an aggregated um how do yes, an aggregated page within your management console that shows you your all aspects of your spend. So the cost explorer and the budget actions are actually within the billing console. And some of the things that you can be able to see on the billing console, it's you can see your monthly charges. You can access your bills page over there. You can manage your payment profiles. This is if you're managing maybe multiple accounts, you'll find that the costs will be created as per the account unless you have specified what is called what is it called? What is it? Sorry, I'm forgetting something. Uh, Kindly, someone remind me what's the consolidated account that you use to pay for organization. Remind me the name.
The management account for your AWS organization.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. So
Yeah.
yes, thank you, Anthony. So if you have a management account, you'll be able to see the costs that are broken down as per all the accounts that are linked to that management account. So the cost explorer, it's enables you to visualize and manage your costs and usage over time. So this is the one that it shows you, it's the one that creates the forecast that you've just seen, and the forecast is usually based on your previous spend. So you'll notice that, for example, if you create a new account within the first month, there won't be any forecast because there's really no history of spend to enable the billing dashboard to actually create that. But as you continue to use, it detects your spend patterns, and for each month, it can give you an estimate. You spent this last month, so we expect that this month you might spend this amount of time. And it's a very good way to just manage your monthly spends, and also just also see your own pattern of spending, so you can know it's if there is some optimization that you need to do within your account. So you can be able to view your estimated costs for the month. You can see the forecasts, the forecasted or predicted cost for the month, a graph of your daily costs, as I've just showed you, your 5 top cost trends. So this one is also something that's usually shown on the default page, and it shows you the top 5 services, or yeah, your top 5 services in terms of cost. So you can see what is which service am I actually spending the most on, and if it doesn't align to whatever you're doing, you can now go and maybe do some remediations in terms of sizing and a bit of cost optimization. And then another key feature is that the Cost Explorer also provides you with reports for your usage across each month. So the next thing is on budgets, and budgets is another very, very, very handy feature that is offered on the billing console. And budgets, it's exactly as it sounds. It basically allows you to manage your spend by creating or specifying the amount that you want to spend on a service, or yeah, the amount that you want to spend on a service. So for example, I've looked maybe I've opened my dashboard and I've seen that in the past month I my EC2 I spent maybe $2. I can, and I feel like that was a bit too much. I want to limit that, or I want to make sure I never go above $2. And if my spend goes above $2, I want to maybe get a notification and to maybe my phone, and like your spend at this time, it's this and this and this, or not, doesn't even have necessarily to be that when your spend reaches that specific amount, you can also set an alert for example, if my budget is $2, I want the minute my cost reaches $1, I want to know. So those are just some of the handy things that you can do with budgets. And as I said, it's really just to help you manage your cost by allowing you to create budgets for different services. And within budgets, there are several types of budgets that you can actually create, as you can see. So there is what you call cost budgets, usage budgets, RI utilization, RI coverage, savings plan utilizations, and savings plans coverage. So let me just, yeah. So costs, just to explain each of these briefly, is that cost budgets, it allows you to set a budget for a specific service. So for example, I can decide I want a budget for my S3, or I want a budget for my RDS database, I want a budget for my EC2 instance. So in that case, I would create what is called a cost budget. Then a usage budget, this one now allows you to create a budget for several services. So I can create an aggregate budget that will be monitoring my EC2 and my S3, or something like my API gateway with also my lambdas. So basically, if you want a budget that cuts, or that's going to monitor more than a single service, you would ideally configure what is now called a usage budget. Then for now your reserved instances and for your savings plan, you can either configure utilization or coverage budgets. And utilization, it's a budget that's, or the utilization budgets for both of these, it's, remember, yes, the utilization budgets, basically they monitor um the utilization of your instance, basically how much is, okay, remember that for the RIs and the savings, it's a commitment that you're making. And this commitment, the reason you're committing is because you want to get a certain kind of discount from this commitment. So the utilization budget will tell you that this reserved instance that I have, or this savings plan that I have created, am I actually utilizing it to the full capacity that I can utilize it to or to get the full discount of this of my reservation, or for my for my reservation. So it will, the utilization budgets for both of them, it will allow you to define a utilization threshold, and then you can configure alerts for when this usage falls between that threshold. So for example, for a server that you've committed to use maybe for a year, and if it's running, the reason you would have committed it to use for a year, ideally, it's probably because you have a workload that it's kind of long running. But now you want to make sure that there is no point at which maybe the resources that are running on this server are getting underutilized. So that's when you would configure the utilization budget, and it will monitor the usage of this, of either your RI or your instance, or the savings, your savings service. And then it will tell you if there is ever a point where this service is being underutilized. So that's for the utilization. And coverage, the coverage budgets for the two, they're basically used to, these ones, they monitor this one's monitor for, let's look at, for example, the RI coverage budgets. As you can see, it helps you to see how much of your instance usage is covered by a reservation. So you can set this, for example, if I have a set of on-demand instances that I'm running, and I'm thinking of maybe configuring a savings plan, but I want to maybe monitor these on-demand instances for maybe 2 months, so I can see, based on how much I'm using this server, for example, based on the number of hours that these particular instances are running, if I were to configure a reservation or a savings plan. So that's one way that you can use a coverage budget. So it's it tells you how much of your current usage will actually be covered by. For the reservation, we know this one works in terms of hours, and for the savings plan, we know this one works in terms of cost. So for it tells you how much of the hours that I'm spending would be covered by a reserved instance, or how much of the cost that I'm spending would be covered by a savings plan. So those are the type of budgets that are basically available to you within the billing dashboard. And yes, so the other thing is on management and governance. And so for management and governance, it's basically a way to uh, operate or just manage your account, whatever is happening on your account. So this is in terms of, it can be security, it can be in terms of costs, it can be in terms of maybe efficiency of your services, responsiveness, and all that. So once you've created, or once you have all your services running, you need a way to actually be able to manage the various aspects, and that's where governance and management comes in. And to enable you to do this, there's a whole suite of services that are used for this particular use. And a good example, it's or I guess the most common one, it's a service that is called Trusted Advisor. And Trusted Advisor, what it does, it monitors the resources that you have that are running in your account, and then it gives you recommendations. So you can see this is a good way to manage whatever is happening in your account, because it will give you recommendation on different aspects. So it can give you, for example, I have configured an S3 bucket, and I've configured it to, or I've configured it for public access. You'll find that these if I went to my Trusted Advisor page, I will very most likely find a security warning telling me that, you know what, you have this certain bucket that is exposed to the public. So, and that is a security risk. Or for example, I'm using my account has not been configured with MFA, that is multi-factor authentication. Again, that is a security risk, and it will also do that for other things such as your costs. For example, if there's a service that the costs seem to be getting out of hand, that's also something that will be flagged. So that's just one example. As you can see, there is a whole list of services, and this is not even all of them. A whole list of services that allow you to govern and manage your AWS account and whatever services are running. So for this, for the exam, what you need to do, or what you need to know, it's actually one thing to note is that the practitioner exam, it's when it comes to services, what they usually test is if you understand what a service basically is, without really knowing in depth how that service operates. So it's a matter of knowing, for example, what exactly does CloudWatch do? Do you know what CloudWatch is? Do you know what its importance in an account? So for the governance services, I would advise that you get a general understanding of each of these services. So for example, CloudWatch, it's a service that enables you to manage logs within your account. Auto scaling, this is a feature that allows you to accommodate spikes in traffic, so that is either an increase or a decrease, to make sure that you always have the required capacity. You have, for example, something like the control tower. This is used to deploy multi-account environments. If you want from the get-go, you want to deploy maybe 5 accounts. So you would use the control tower. And so for each of these services, just understand at a very basic level what it does, or what it is, the basic definition of the service. And that concludes my presentation. I don't know if there are any questions. Hosts.
Yes, that was a very educative and in-depth presentation. Thank you so much, ZP. Does anyone have a question for our presenter? Oh, I'm seeing Murithi Gakuru.
Hello. Mic check.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Muredi Gakuro. I'm a software developer and a software developer student. My first question, I have two questions. The first one is mostly about curiosity. The presenter talked about the management roles in the AWS. What is the norm when managing the account, say, for your application? Do you have one account specifically for management, or does the person with the most senior responsibilities take up that role? The second question, talked about fluctuating, say, load that comes into the application, say, on holidays. Um, which type of billing system would you recommend for such a situation, where sometimes you have many people coming into the application, let's say during holidays, the load goes down? What would be the best fit for such a application? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Your first question was on multiple accounts, right? Can you just repeat that question kindly?
Um, okay, so I think I know there are these accounts on AWS for management with roles, the identity access management, the IAM roles. And I was wondering whether for management, for assigning, say assigning roles to different people who might be working on a single account, say you have for the developers, do you create in an organization, do you create just a single account for just management, say, for giving out roles and privileges, or is it just the role is taken by the person with the highest privilege? As in, what sort of management goes on in such a
Okay.
situation?
Okay, got you now. Okay, so what usually happens, the best practice for I just realized I didn't talk about this, but there's something called AWS organizations. And AWS organization, basically, it allows you to set up a multi-account kind of an environment, which is really the best practice, just so you can have some workload isolation. So what usually happens in organization is you have one account that is called the management account, and that's the one that basically manages all other accounts. So all other accounts that you create, they are what we call member accounts. So the best practice in, I guess, in a real world kind of environment is to have different accounts for your different workloads. So for example, if my organization has maybe some 5 departments, and each of these department is using a set of services within AWS, the best practice would be create a different account for each team, just and say, create a different account for each team. Then when it comes to access, it's uh it's a matter of assigning, let's say, an admin for each. The admin for each account is the one who actually assigns the permissions. So for example, if let's say I'm the HOD of my department, and I'm the one who's been given the admin role within in my department's account, the services that we're sharing as a department. So I'm the one who actually create all those policies and all those the roles for my team members. But when it comes to account, it is absolutely not recommended that you have one account that runs everything. It's not a best practice. You're better off going with have a management account and then create member accounts depending on the nature of your I guess your applications or the nature of your organization. Did that answer you?
Follow up question.
Uh-huh.
Say you've mentioned about creating accounts for different teams. Doesn't that bring an issue of accountability? Say the team members working on one account, if something fishy happens, doesn't that bring about an issue of accountability?
That's where IAM comes in. I realize we didn't really cover IAM in depth within this bootcamp, but if you interact with IAM, you realize that you can actually set very, very granular permissions. And something even better, maybe I can just go recommend that you go look at IAM roles specifically, not really IAM user, just go and read a bit on IAM roles. And how this work is that they actually just provide, or the person who assumes, you create a role and the person who assumes this role, you specify that I want this person to only have access for this amount of time. So it's a way to really, really filter down the permissions that you can assign to any particular user. And even better, it's that you can also assign, you can even go a step ahead and assign permissions for just a specific function. So for example, if all I want is, or my role only requires me to download a document, just download a document. It doesn't allow or yeah, I just need to download a document. I can actually just assign, that is what we call just read permissions. So you cannot edit this document, you cannot delete this document. And this is how you protect your account from whatever you're saying, these accidents that had the security accident, someone deleted something by accident or someone edited something they weren't supposed to. So as an admin, it's your responsibility to actually assign permissions to the users, or yeah, to assign permissions to your users based on what is called the principle of least privilege. And all this is actually enabled through the IAM service.
Thank you. That's well answered.
Okay, you had a second question. I forgot about it. Sorry.
It was on fluctuating load. I wanted to know your recommendation for an application or a range of application that have, let's say, high seasons and low seasons, so to speak.
Okay, so in terms of fluctuations, this is where autoscaling comes in. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, this is where autoscaling comes in. And if I can just briefly explain what autoscaling does, and specifically these policies. So the policies are the ones that actually manage the kind of, or the response of your service to the load. So for example, if I set up my server within an autoscaling group, this is where I specify that, remember that the kind of load that you're getting or the kind of traffic that is coming to your application, the more the traffic that is getting in, the more the resources will be used, right? So for example, if I just have two people, if maybe it's a web application, if I have two people accessing, you'll find that maybe my CPU utilization will be very low. But if I have 1,000 people, then my CPU, it should have maybe 70 up or 70%. And that's how I know there's a lot of traffic on this server. So that is basically how you set the policies to manage the kind of traffic that is reaching your server. So there are several types of policies that you can you can configure with your the auto scaling service. And um, one example is configuring based on the utilization. So you can maybe say if this server, if the utilization of the CPU within this server, if it hits 50%, I want to launch another server. And the good thing with that is that the way or the nature of the auto scaling group is that you always configure something called a launch template, and it's the one that is used to create any additional instances. So this template, what it does is that that new instance that is created, it's an exact replica of the current one that you have. So it instantly picks up the traffic, the extra traffic. So for example, if my policy, I've configured it for, if the CPU utilization of this first server reaches 50%, that is what will indicate a high load. So to prevent it from getting higher than that, I want you to launch 2 new instances. So as your traffic increases, new instances will be created to actually accommodate that load. Does that answer you?
My question was on billing.
Oh, God. Jesus. Which kind of billing method would you recommend for such an application? Okay. Let's see.
Do you mind if I maybe take that?
Please do.
All right. So you're saying you have a workload that's fluctuating. Hello, Mureithi. Do you mind repeating just the details of your workload?
Okay, let me just help you out. Oh, okay, he's back. Okay, go on, please.
Yeah. Actually, what you were talking about is right on point. Let's say an application that takes that exact description. Which kind of billing would you recommend that would provide the cheapest amount?
So just to understand your question, your application has fluctuating workload. Yeah.
Yes.
How frequently does it fluctuate? Is it a predictable fluctuation or not?
Say for school application that has seasons. Yeah.
That has seasons. Okay. So if you're dealing with seasonal fluctuations, that means you understand, like, let's say in November, I'm going to have a spike in traffic. Yeah. So the different pricing methods that you can use, maybe there's a specific baseline of performance that your traffic has on off peak, like the other parts of the year aside from the peak part. So your load is more or less steady at those times. For those kind of loads, you can use now the reserved instances, since you know for sure the service will use this amount of um, computing power for the foreseeable future. So for those, you can use now the long-term commitments, such as reserved instances. But now for the fluctuating part, that will also depend. If your workload can withstand interruptions, yeah, you'll use spot instances. So spot instances, I don't know if this was covered on day one, but what spot instances are just these leftover compute capacity for AWS that are just laying idle. So you kind of bid for compute capacity. So you set a price, and if the market price is below what you've set, you'll always have that spot instance. But the moment the market price exceeds the price that you set, the spot instance is automatically taken away in I think with I think a 1 minute or 2 minute warning. So if your workload can withstand such interruptions, you can use spot instances, and spot instances will offer you up to 90% discount. But if your workload cannot handle interruptions, you'll now go for the on demand. The on demand instances, as Zipporah had mentioned, is pay as you go. So yeah, you know that okay, at this point my workload will spike. So in your auto scaling group, you can define on demand instances to be part of that fleet so that it can scale to the capacity you need and when you need it. Yeah. And without worry of them being taken away, though you won't have as much of a discount as spot instances. Yeah. So you just have to have a very good understanding of the behavior of your traffic. Then now, yeah, you apply those methods accordingly. Yeah.
Is it possible to use more than one plan as a go?
More than one plan.
Yeah, per service.
So just to get you correctly, is this in terms of the type of instance that you use, whether it's on demand, spot, or reserved? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can use them actually in even one fleet. I've forgotten what it's called. I don't know if it's called a spot fleet, but there's a way you can use a fleet of mixed instances, some that are reserved, some that are spot, and others that are on demand. So that's possible. That's possible.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Any further questions? Spot on. I see what you did there, Juma. All right. Is there anyone else with any more questions? Please feel free. Feel free. Ask. We're open to helping. All right. Any other question going once? Any other question going twice? Any other question? Okay. Titus Washira. What's your question?
Okay. So this may be a little bit out of what we discussed. So I don't know. If you don't mind, let me just ask. It's about the coupons or maybe the vouchers or maybe financial assistance with regard to doing these certifications. Like, are there like such plans or maybe coupons? Because I understand that some other cloud platforms like Azure like give such kind of coupons. So I was maybe asking if there like there's anything you could do, or maybe like there's something that somebody can do to like get such kind of coupons or stuff. Yeah.
Okay. I think Juma might be in a better position to answer that. But from my experience, let me give you my experience for both the cloud practitioner and solutions associate. I was part of Azubia Africa. So what the program kind of entails is that you pay, you do the training. Yeah. It costs about 2,000 euros, but here's the catch: you only pay them back in installments after you get a job. So that can be an alternative to help you maybe kickstart I had Juma talking about she builds, but I'll let him now handle the actual finer details of that.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Miano. So, concerning that, unfortunately for AWS, there are let me say the number of opportunities of receiving free vouchers is less than compared to Azure. But yes, there are some methods where you can receive this free voucher. So in Kenya, we have an AWS user group for Kenya. And this user group is usually given vouchers of which they do share with members who wants to sit for the examination. But now the catch is that for you to be given a voucher, you must show your progress. You must show that you've been studying and show that you are ready for the examination. Okay. But unfortunately for this year, the vouchers have been exhausted, have been used, all of them. So unless we get in touch early next year to receive those vouchers. But now for the girl child, there's this program for either it's called She Builds, of which they usually give out the AWS Solutions Architect vouchers for girls. So you have to enroll to that program, study with them, show them your progress, and at the end of the session, they'll give you a voucher to do your examination. Yeah, so those are the two that I know right now that AWS do offer. But as Anthony has mentioned, there's also a program called Azubi Africa. Now, with Azubi Africa, doing the cloud practitioner certification, you'll do it for free. Yeah, so you just have to apply, and if you need to apply, do an online assessment, and after that, get into an interview. If you qualify, you'll have to study for 12 weeks. Then after that, they'll give you a voucher to do your cloud practitioner. After a cloud practitioner, if you want to further on your studies in AWS with Azubi, there's that engineering cohort that Miano and I and ZP were in, where now you need to pay for it. They will, it's again 12 weeks of studying. Then after that, they give you the voucher of doing AWS Solutions Architect Associate level. After that, they will help you. They will help you find a job, and immediately after you get the job is when you can repay them. So those are the few opportunities that I know of. But my advice status is watch out on LinkedIn. There are a lot of opportunities on LinkedIn. Watch out for them in case you encounter any opportunity, grab it, okay? And make connection with people who are in AWS so that they can share more insight. And this connection, you can easily make them through LinkedIn. So if you have an active LinkedIn profile, I think try to reach out to members, AWS members, to share more insights. Okay, but for now, just know for the Kenyan user group, but unfortunately, the vouchers have been exhausted. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
So you're welcome.
All right. I'm going in order of the questions. I've seen Cadet Peron. I don't know if I've said the name right. Is asking whether you can help get, actually asking Juma whether you can help them get a study voucher.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Cadet. And I think okay, so Miano, I think the piece. Okay, I think that session is over. We can move on to the next session whereby we just share with the group how they can prepare, how they can start in AWS Cloud if they are doing the examination, the best way of preparation and all that. Is that okay? Or let's exhaust the questions for ZP, and then we can get to that session so that we cover everything. I'll address that, Cadet.
Oh yeah, yeah. Any questions for the session conducted by ZP? Just to wrap that section up. Any question? Feel free to raise your hand. Any question going once? Any question going twice? Any question going thrice? All right, so then we can move on to the next session. So Juma, do you mind?
Good. Thank you, Miano. Now this session, okay, that brings us to the end of the presentation for the boot camp. But one thing you need to know is that this has been a 3-day boot camp. We could not cover everything in 3 days. And so if you want to sit for this AWS Cloud Practitioner certification, and this is the first time you're hearing about cloud, I'll advise you to follow what you're going to tell you. And at the end of it, you need to do serious studies. This just it was just a fundamental to show you what cloud is, to show you some key aspect of AWS Cloud Practitioner, but have not covered in details everything. Definitely after this, if you want to do that examination, you need to find resources to help you in your studies, in your preparation, and finally sitting for the paper. So during this session, I'm going to share what helped me to pass this cloud practitioner certification and the best way of practicing. And also I'll address Cadet's Cadet. She wants a study partner. She's ready to sit for, not ready to sit for the examination. She wants a study partner who they can maybe communicate to each other the progress. If it's resources, share the resources, and finally see the examination. So I'll address that later. So first and foremost, what I'll tell you guys is the first point is you need to have AWS Management Console account, because remember, there's the theory part and there's the practical part. You read the theory part, but to reinforce on what you have read, you need to have hands-on practice, and this hands-on practice are done through the management console. So the first point is, if you don't have a management console and you want to do this certification, make sure you create a free account. Okay, it's free. You have to key in the credentials of your debit card, but if you're keen enough, you need to be keen enough. If you spin an instance, you need to know that after this lab, I need to stop that instance so that it doesn't incur additional cost. So that's the first thing. Open up that management console and start doing labs. Okay, yeah. Then the second thing is maybe let me share on right now, let me share on some free resources that you can use to prepare you in getting ready for this certification. Because remember, here the aim is being ready for the exam. Okay, it doesn't matter the ways, but you need to be ready for the exam. But so let me just share my screen. I show you guys some people who in some people that you can follow on LinkedIn that helped me a lot, and also share out on free resources. Okay, so if you don't have a LinkedIn account, you need to create one. You need to create one, and you need to start following people. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, it's clear.
Great. Okay, so if you can see my screen, I'm on the LinkedIn page and I'm viewing a post by Victoria Simon. Victoria Simon, she shares a lot of free resources in AWS. Make sure if you're on LinkedIn, follow her. What I'll do, let me just copy this. I hope this is the right link, and paste it in the chat so that you can follow. Okay, right now this chat, as you can see, she's sharing on some free resources, and the first step, she's saying that you need to, there's an app called Twitch TV. You need to install this Twitch TV and search for AWS, and in AWS you'll be, after that you'll see there's resources that will help you. There are videos that will guide you in your there are different courses. There's this cloud practitioner, the foundation level, this associate level, and all that. So if you want to start, you need to watch the videos of cloud practitioner. And remember, this is an application which you just download, and everything is free. So that's the first thing. Make sure you have this Twitch.tv application on your mobile. It will really help you. Then there's also this post that she posted on different platforms that are useful, that can help you to study for this exam. And the first one is okay, let me also share this link. Kindly allow me to copy and paste, which it's called Twitch TV, an mobile application. So this one, the first, they're called Skill Builders. Skill Builders, it's a free learning center for AWS courses, you'll find all the courses here. Okay. So if you want to study the cloud practitioner, you want a free course, use skill builders. Just Google www.skillbuilders.aws. Okay. And you'll find that. Make sure you follow that. Okay. That's the first thing that Victoria shares. There's a repos.aws. Okay. Just make sure that this is where maybe frequently asked questions are asked, okay, are posted in this repos.aws. Make sure you follow this platform. One, it's skill builders. Two, it's repos.aws. Three, it's workshop. This is they'll give you hands-on workshop, the labs that you can work on, and these labs will reinforce your knowledge on AWS services. Definitely, if you get a question on your exam and you've done the lab, you'll definitely answer it correctly. So make sure you watch out for workshop.aws. You'll find a great amount of hands-on labs to do. Calculator.aws, this is an advanced level where it's a service that is used to do the pricing calculation. You see, in AWS, when you want to use these services, if you're in the working environment, like for my work, for ZP, for Miano, if you're a solutions architect, the clients present you with the problem they have, and you tell them that they need to migrate to AWS, you need to tell them the cost that they're going to incur. And AWS calculator is the tool that we use to calculate the cost. So you can just have a look at it for your own practice, but this will not appear in exam. This is just an extra knowledge. Then you have AWS.training. This also offer AWS courses, okay, the cloud practitioner and all that. So there are a lot of free resources. StudioLab.SageMaker, this is another tool for labs, okay? Yeah, SageMaker is a tool for machine learning, ML, and AI and machine learning, okay? So watch out for that. And finally, okay, that's she's telling you to save and share. So those are the free resources that you can make sure you follow Victoria Seaman, okay? Make sure you follow her. She usually share a lot of great content. Make sure you follow her on LinkedIn. If you don't have a profile, make sure you create one. Then there's a website called Exam Topics. Exam Topics. This is where you'll find a lot of questions in any cloud, in any examination that you want. Okay, it's called Exam Topics. This is where you'll find all the resources. You'll type exam. You're still seeing my screen, right? Awesome. Yeah, this exam topics.
Yeah.
Go to the top Amazon certification exam. You'll see this is the AWS certified cloud practitioner. Click on that cloud practitioner. Make sure these are free. These are free questions. Make sure you do these questions that appear, okay? And one thing about exam topics is okay, let's have a look at the question. There are questions. You read the question, you make your answer, and look at the discussion, because people, like after you reading the question, making your attempt, you can reveal solution, okay? And you can, if you think that the answer is not correct, go on and look at discussion. This is where people discuss why they chose that answer. Maybe if it appeared in exam, someone will say, okay, and it will go a larger way helping you prepare for this exam. So that's another free website that you can utilize, Exam Topics. Okay, so let me just also type this link. Let me copy and paste. Control V. Awesome. So that is Exam Topics. Then finally, there are a lot of people that you can follow on YouTube. I like Lucy. Lucy shares a lot of content that is helpful for anyone who wants to start a career in AWS Cloud. She has a channel. She's a solutions architect at AWS, but she has a lot of great information: how to prepare for your cloud practitioner, how to prepare for your solutions architect, how to get your first job, what's the role that you will be required in that job. So she shares a lot of insights. If you're a fan of YouTube, make sure you follow her. It's free. Follow her, listen to her content, and it will go a long way helping you in that preparation. Okay. Now, moving forth, there's other platform that you have to pay for. These that I've been sharing are platforms that are free. But if you want a platform that maybe you feel like there's this content will help you, there's some platform. Let me just name them. There's Cloud Academy. There's Cloud Academy. There's Digital Cloud. There's a Cloud Guru, and so on. Miano will tell you others. Okay, so I have for me, I have an account for Cloud Academy. So what happens with these accounts? They're not free. You need to pay for those accounts, and this is where I think the question from Cadet helps. Remember, if you have a study partner, let's say you have a group of around 4 people, you can cost share because this thing is I can share. You can share these resources with anyone. Okay, so you can cost share, get that platform, and get into like this Cloud Academy. It has all the certification ranging from Microsoft to AWS. Let's look at Amazon Web Services, and let's have a look at the Cloud Practitioner. It will give you it will teach you in form of videos. It will give you the videos. If you don't like video, there's a study document that you have to go, and also hands-on lab. So it's a great way of learning if you're a new person. Okay, what I've realized is that a lot of people, sorry, don't know this information. They just look for resources all over the internet. You'll get confused because there are a lot of resources. Okay, but this platform will help you because it has everything that you need. Look at this. This is fundamental of AWS. If you got this, let's just have a look at what it has. It will tell you, it's like it will tell you everything. Difficulty, it's beginner. Average duration that you'll use, it's 15 hours. Okay, so if you go, you can see it has arranged everything in a clear order. Compute fundamentals, create your first Amazon EC2 instance, create your first, okay, use Elastic Load Balancer. So everything is named. And after that, there's even a knowledge check, okay? After doing after covering the content, you can go ahead and test yourself if you have understood it, okay? So this platform, they give you a clear way of, doing everything, knowing that you've covered all the concept, okay? Remember this bootcamp, we have not covered everything because the time duration couldn't allow us. So after that, you'll need such platform. If you think the free platforms are also good. They also have similar content. Sorry, but if you fail to
Excuse me.
advance further,
Is it just me or from my sound my side I can only see your Google page.
sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah, I
maybe
think
it's a
it's
problem on my end
no, no, no,
or
no, 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 no. I think it's everyone. Let me
Yeah,
just
same
stop.
here. Same here.
Sorry about that.
oh,
Sorry.
it's okay, it happens.
Okay. So been okay. Let's see. Share. Okay, let me know if you can see my. Oh, sorry about that.
Yes.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Awesome. So this is what I've been talking about. It's a platform called Cloud Academy. It's not a free platform. You have to pay for it. Okay, you have to pay for it. And what I was saying is, what happened here? What I was saying is, Cadet was asking for a study partner. It will make much sense. It will make more sense if you want to purchase such platform, you have someone maybe to co-share, okay? Because as I've said, it's not limited to only one person accessing that platform. And let's say if this platform is around, if it's per month for digital cloud, it's around $30. That's around let's say 3,200 Kenyan shillings. But imagine if you're the 5 of you, that's 3,200 divided by 5. That is very cost effective. And remember, the content you're going to share, it's the same. Okay, so I don't know the best way of doing this, but maybe just type in the group. If you're interested to have a study partner, just type in the group so that we can arrange for that. We organize you guys to maybe purchase such an account if you need it. And also apart from that, having a study partner, it's okay. It enables you to stay on track. Yeah, you keep updating each other, your progress. If you have a question, you ask each other. Any insight you share. So it's a good thing. For me, I do have study partners, like five of them, okay? And they keep me pushing. They keep me, progressing because it's a healthy competition. So just type in the group if you want a study partner and you can organize for that. So as I was saying, this is the Cloud Academy. It's just one of the many platforms that you can purchase online. Okay, it has everything in a clear way that can help you. Like this, look, there are many. There's Microsoft Azure, Google, everything, AWS certification, and all that. So if you have a look at Amazon Web Services and get to see the courses that are within this platform, you'll find out that there are a lot. Look, fundamentals, technical, AWS networking and content delivery, all of that. So what you do, you just come to the learning path, you scroll to that learning path, you do the studying and everything. Then after that, it's when you'll be given a certificate that you can post on LinkedIn if your progress is 100%. Then after that, I'll tell you, I promise you'll be ready to sit for that examination if you use such platform, because what they do is, look at this, they have arranged the courses from the basic level, compute fundamentals, creating your first Amazon EC2 instance. This is a lab that you can follow, okay? And the good thing is, with this platform, you don't have to have that management console that I was talking about, because they create a kind of, what is the name? It's a kind of virtual environment. Sorry?
Sandbox.
Sandbox that you can work with, okay? And it's free of charge. If you have purchased it, it's free of charge. You just click on Start Lab, it will take you to that sandbox and you can use their credentials. So it will help you if you don't have that account. Yeah, so as I was saying, it has highlighted everything, the practice you need to do. Look, the storage fundamentals, creating your first Amazon S3 bucket and all that. And after each session, there's knowledge check. This will just show you if you have really understood what you learned. Okay, so after each and every session, there's knowledge check. These are just a set of questions as per each chapter. Then finally, they'll give you a final exam, and this is just a simulation of the real exam that you're going to encounter. Okay, it's timed according to the normal duration that AWS Cloud Practitioner exam goes. It has the question similar to what you'll experience in that exam. So after viewing the content of such platform, you'll be in a good and great way to sit for your exam. And I've just mentioned this AWS Cloud Academy. There are lots. There's a digital cloud. Okay, there's a cloud guru. There are a lot of training resources that you can get. Okay, so yeah, but these are not free. You need to pay for them. Okay, so um you can look at that. Then those are the resources. Then my advice is, if you really want to pass this exam, it's not an easy one and it's not a difficult one. You can do it. If we've done it, definitely you too can do it, but you need to prepare for it. So after doing, let me say, if you are new to cloud, give yourself 1.5 months of studying. If you have such a platform or the free resources that I've told you, study for 1.5 months. After that, give yourself 3 days, 3 good days of doing thorough revision, doing questions. I've talked of exam topics. Make sure you've done all the questions in exam topics. Make sure you've done all this knowledge check and the final exam in the platform that you'll have purchased. Okay, give yourself 3 days of doing questions. Then after that, you'll be ready and good to sit for that examination. But one thing that I also advise you guys, if you really want to do this examination, the first point is to get that voucher. The first point is to go and book for that examination. If you know that on this particular date I'm going to sit for this examination, it will drive you to study, it will drive you to do the revision. So because you've already committed, okay? So the first thing, commit. Don't just say that I'll do that exam, okay? Commit it. Make sure that I've set a target. On 29th of November, I'm going to sit for my cloud practitioner, then start working backwards. Okay? That's the best approach that I can advise you guys. So that is all that I wanted to cover, unless anyone got a question. Any question about what I've just said right now? I know it's a lot to digest.
I think Kali Saratuki had a question. She asked, does Azubi offer free training for Solutions Architect Associate, even though you didn't start with them on AWS CCP?
No. About that, it's not free even if you started with them with the CCP. You have to pay them after finish. They'll give you the voucher. You'll do the examination, but you must first get a job, then you pay them back. It's not free, but you pay after. That's the catch.
All right. Let me see if there's any other question.
Okay.
Though
Thank you.
I'd wanted to add, though Juma has given such an extensive presentation.
Sorry, just
When
to finish
Mhm.
off, Anthony. Anyone who wants a study partner, kindly indicate in the group. Then I can help you guys. I can share a few resources that will help you guys. But I need people who are committed. One right now I have cadet. Cadet is committed, but I require a group of people who are committed. So if you want a study partner, kindly indicate in the group. Then we can follow up after this boot camp and help you achieve this. And okay, the examination it's around 15,000 Kenyan shillings. So if you have a job, you can pay for that. It's worth it. If you think your parents can support you, please talk to them. This is something that is going to pay off. Okay, like I've been in this industry for 1.5 years, and I've to be honest, I'm in a place where I can't regret my decision that I made. And it was a risk. It was a risk I made, okay? But it has gone far way of paying me back, okay? So I encourage you to take that risk, that initial step of starting in cloud, and you'll never regret. Anyway, that's all from me. Thank you so much, guys, and over to you, Anthony.
All right, thank you. So just to add to what Juma has said, you see, when you're looking for which resource to use for preparing for your exam, first of all, you need to go to AWS's website. You can just do this by simply Googling the exam, like Cloud Practitioner. Then go look at the exam details. Make sure that the code of the exam is right. I think Cloud Practitioner is CLF01. Yeah, make sure you know that, okay, this is the code of the exam that I'm doing, so that when you go and look for materials, you need to make sure those materials are up to date. Let me give an example. We did the Solutions Architect Associate earlier this year, yeah? And by then it was, the exam code was SAA, Solutions Architect Associate, C02, yeah? But you see, AWS continuously adds new features to its offerings. So now I think the present exam code is C03, yeah? So you need to make sure you're not caught in a situation where you're using the resources of a previous exam version. So you need to make sure you check that on the website before you actually decide which resource you need to pick. And in terms of the resources, make sure they're very up to date. Yeah, they're very up to date with what's being covered. I'll give an example. For when I was preparing for the professional, I used Cloud Academy at first, though it was really extensive and had a lot of amazing labs which grew my knowledge. But you see, the course was a bit outdated. It was made in 2020. And since then, there are a few features that had been added. So I moved on to a Cloud Guru. Theirs was also kind of up to date, but not as much. Then I looked through YouTube, I basically typed how I passed my SA Pro. And a lot of the people who were sharing their story had mentioned certain resources. For example, Digital Cloud, as Juma had mentioned. There's also this guy called Stefan Marek. Let me show you. Let me share my screen and show you his course. I actually bought his SA Pro course. All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, Anthony.
Yeah, so this is a course. It's on Udemy. So it's broken down very well. Okay, this is the introduction where he just tells you that about the course and what's required. But another really nice thing about Stefan Marek's courses is that he gives you slides that you can download. Okay, so if you're more inclined towards reading rather than watching videos, those slides can be a really good resource to use. Yeah, and he really puts the videos very concisely, very simply. Let me see what I can. Mhm. Okay, let's see something like EC2. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able
First,
to
let's
hear
dive
this.
into EC2. EC2 is very, very big.
Okay, sorry, I usually listen at 2x. Okay.
Topic, but hopefully this is something that you already know at a very high level based on your previous experience. And I will try to summarize everything that's going to be important going into the exam. So first, when you have an EC2, you need to choose an instance type, and they have different families. You have R, which is, for example, R5X large. There's usually for applications that use a lot of RAM. So, for example, in-memory caches would be great. C, for applications that need a good amount of CPU for computations. So they're great for databases as well. M, which is sharp balance. So M is for something like medium, which is for general web applications. I, which is when you need very good local I/O. So this is when you have an instance store attached to your instance, and this is great for high performance databases. G, when you need to have a GPU. So this is great when you're doing machine learning or video rendering. And then you have different kind of smaller instances, or T2 and T3, which are burstable up to certain capacities. So they're instances that need to react very quickly and get good performance in case of spikes, but get a baseline performance that's average in the meantime. And then if you have T2 or T3 unlimited, you can get unlimited.
All right. So you see, like his presentations have very short points that are easy to understand. Maybe this is a bit more advanced, but let's say you get his Cloud Practitioner version, you'll find it very simple. I remember when I was starting out, I really preferred Digital Cloud. He's a guy called Neil Davis because he'd explain things diagrammatically. Like he'd draw up the architectures and show you, how does this service look like in action, so that you understand. So different resources will resonate differently with you. So for Stefan Marek, if you want very short, concise notes and also diagrammatic explanations, you can choose that one. For Neil Davis, the digital cloud resources, it's really ideal for very simple explanations that are offered diagrammatically. So if you really understand things when you can visualize them, I think digital cloud will be a good resource. Also, he does hands-on labs during his tutorials, so that's also a plus. Yeah, but over and above everything, make sure that the resource that you're using is in line with the exam code that you're sitting for. For example, this course that I've bought is for C01 for the professional, but as of November this, not November this month, as of 14th of this month, the the exam will be updated to C02. So as of November, this course won't be up to date. So yeah, I really insist upon that. And I don't know if maybe some of you are feeling maybe this is so much of an information overload. I totally understand. I've been where you are, especially coming from a field that's not even tech. It can be a lot to digest. Um, but I'd recommend that, yeah, as long as you have the discipline and the consistency to stick it through until you understand the concepts, you're gonna make it. You're gonna make it, and you're going to rise. And also, you see, these paid resources, they're paid for a reason. Yeah, you want someone who has up-to-date content and they've simplified it enough for you to understand it quickly so that you have less time preparing. So you see, it's a give and take. Yeah. And in terms of practice papers, I'd say use a resource called Tutorial Dojo. That came in really handy for me. Again, it's paid, but you see, you're investing in developing this skill, so it'll pay off in the future. Yeah, you kind of have to look at what opportunity are you passing up by maybe not paying for this and accessing this quality and curated information, as opposed to maybe trying to find it all by yourself and miss things along the way. So yeah, that's basically what I have to share. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, any questions?
Any question?
Okay, it seems like there's no question. So Zip, you can share your final insights and we can call it a boot camp. Yeah, it's been it's been a journey and yeah, almost there. So ZP.
Okay. I do feel like you guys have really covered almost everything exhaustively in terms of the resources. Maybe the only one I can add is the white papers, because for me, that I can say that probably 90% of what I know in AWS I got from the white papers. I don't know if there's any of you who's like me, but I'm not really a videos kind of a person. So I use them more of a supplement, and primarily I always depend on the white papers. And I love the white papers because they're always very comprehensive and written by like AWS experts. So it's very dependable information. So that's the only one I can add. But otherwise, thank you to everyone who attended this bootcamp, and I wish you guys all the best going forward.
Awesome. Thank you, ZP. Oh, okay, so from my side, I'd like to say thank you guys. It's been a great journey. I hope this bootcamp has given you the fundamentals that you need to start in cloud. what I can say, everything is possible. It's very much possible. You just go out there, do your best, and make sure you commit to do that exam, and you'll definitely through thorough preparation, you definitely pass that examination and move on to the next level. I wish you well. And right now, that's all from my side. I wish you well. And if you have any question, let me just drop my LinkedIn account so that you can feel free to connect with me, ask me any question through LinkedIn, and I'll share any information that will be of great help to you guys. That's all from my side. Thank you so much, and I'll return it back to Anthony Miano.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Juma. Thank you, ZP. You guys have really helped demystify this whole cloud thing and getting started in cloud. I know it can be a lot of information to sift through, but I think you guys have really done a great job at, demystifying the whole topic. And I think a lot of people will definitely leave this boot camp very empowered to go out and get the certification, go out and get their cloud careers. I want to maybe share this. It's maybe a proverb that I personally invented. Even the fiercest lion was once a cub. All right. So you may see that it's so much information to digest, and maybe other people are so knowledgeable and so technical about all these things, but they were not born with that knowledge. They had to learn it, they had to take time, they had to have the discipline to stick it through even when, hawaradi. Yeah. So it's possible for you. You can take time and commit yourself to it, to the process, and definitely the outcome is what you'll reap. Okay. Personally, at this time last year, I had no idea what cloud was. Yeah. But when you dedicate yourself and take the time and do and put in those hours, it'll pay off. It'll really, really pay off. And since a lot of you are in campus, I really want to draw your attention to something that you guys have that is very unique. In campus, you have the freedom to do attachments, okay? You have the freedom to go into these companies and just be an intern. They're willing to readily accept campus students. So I'd advise use your internships strategically, or maybe if your university doesn't do attachment programs during those long holidays, look for a company and actually get attached there. If that company is doing cloud, even better. So be strategic about them. They'll really help you once you're done with school and you're trying to apply for cloud jobs. You'll already have experience. So yeah, um, that's something I'd recommend. But anyway, I think it's time to close. We are 3 minutes past time. So anyone with any final questions?
There's a question. Cadet is asking, when are we going to do such a thing again? I'll leave Samson, but also you can answer this question mainly.
Hello. Okay, sorry for that. I'm on the background trying to make sure that this is being streamed to YouTube. So I had to make sure that I'm using the correct microphone. But okay, with regards to that, when are we doing this the next time? So the next time will be, the next bootcamp will be purely on practicals now. Last month we covered Azure fundamentals. This month we've covered AWS Cloud Practitioner, which is the fundamental certification for AWS. So next bootcamp will be on practicals. We will structure them. You've not yet created the structure of how the 3 day practicals will look, but we'll surely communicate early. But it will be mostly on Azure this time, and then the next month after that it will be on AWS. And unfortunately for cadets, I know you're joining in from the UK. So this month, at the end of this month, we are trying to plan come together for the community, just like a team building so that you can know each other. But after that, so probably the practical session will run next year, because after the physical meetup will already have gotten to the end of the year. So we'll resume this in January with the practical. Hope that is clear.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam.
All right. Anyone with anything else to ask or add? All right. Okay. I think with that we can close the session. Thank you guys for sticking through the entire bootcamp. I really hope that it's helped kickstart your journey or help reinforce some of the things you've already learned. Yeah, and